Hey guys, welcome back to another interview with one of our CCs. This is Guido here, and over on the other side we have
This is for free.
for
I'm,
free, for free, one of the NACCs. Man, welcome. Thanks for coming by to the interview. Appreciate it.
oh, no problem. It's a Saturday and I generally do work 80 to 100 hours a week, either whether at my job or at my home. And Saturday is the day I like to snooze. So
So I got you up
I'm
early.
yeah, you got me up early, but I'm pumped. Like I'm happy to be. I got a lot of stuff done already today. I got my coffee here just for you. I'm not normally a coffee drinker, so I don't know if we can do a
Cheers,
coffee chat
cheers,
there.
man.
Yeah. But I went ahead to the convenience store about an hour ago and I got myself a coffee and I had to nuke it about 2 or 3 times since in my preparation for this interview. So we do have coffee. You know, I'm
I drink it cold, man. I'll probably disgust you.
Oh no. I like if my parents have coffee, I haven't seen them in a while, but if my parents have coffee ever since I was a wee little boy child, man, you can bet your ass whether it was hot or cold. Um I was drinking it. I would probably still drink it today. If they left the cup out somewhere and
Yeah,
it wasn't in their hand, yeah, you can bet your ass I'd probably pick it up and
that's what
finish
my
it off.
dad would do. He would percolate it and it would sit on the stove all day, and you'd just walk by
Yep,
and pour yourself a
yep,
little more and all
yep.
that good
Yeah,
stuff. Well, hey,
yeah.
man.
It's
So
it's
go
it's
ahead.
actually it's I stay away from it mostly because I don't like the mess. I don't want to deal with it. When I get up in the morning, I get out of bed. My alarm goes off at 5:45. I snooze till 6 a.m. I get out of bed at 6 a.m. By 6:15 to 6:20, I am clothed and in my car and off to work.
Yeah.
So it's just no. I don't want to mess with it, and I think it's like one of those addictions that I guess we take for granted in this country. People have like a real, somewhat coffee addiction, but I drink it. I'll go out to eat and I drink it. But say what you want about like other hard drugs and things of that nature. But have you ever come across some asshole who hasn't had their morning brew? They're yeah. No offense, no offense, but do you want to throw them out of an office window or something, or throw
That's
yourself
good.
out of an office window?
Yeah, no, that's
But
completely valid, man. Well, hey, well, thanks for getting up early. How do you have? We chatted a little bit before this, and we're gonna cover some of that ground again. Very interesting, actually, for free. I do these interviews so we can talk about gaming, but oftentimes I find that people's real life, the portion of it that they want to put out there on the internet, is oftentimes more fascinating than the gaming thing. So, how do you find time to be a CC in World of Tanks? How did your journey to CC? How'd that happen?
honestly, I don't know outside of dumb luck, if you can call it that. You know, I had kind of, when Meathead came along, it kind of reinvigorated my interest in the game, Meathead Militia. Um, when he started coming on, I had just gotten back into the game. I had taken like at least a year break. I had moved, I had gone down to Florida. I wasn't in any position to be gaming, let alone streaming at all. I didn't even have a streaming setup. But I'd taken a long break from the game, and when I started seeing Meathead Militia come back, and start bringing news from the game, I kind of started getting a little more interested in it. I had real problems with the game from previous years that we can go over. We're probably going to go over, and I started getting back into it. And a Kino weekend in Canada. I'm gonna totally fuck this up. I think it's called Oshawa, Canada. It's
I believe
outside of
so. Yeah,
Toronto or Ontario.
yeah.
I'm horrible with names. But I had a load of material to bring up. I had a big load of carbide, a big load of high speed tool steel that sell to a company on my way up there towards Erie, Pennsylvania. So I was like, well, I got all this material. What's another 2.5, 3 hours? Which, if you've never been through, I think it's Toronto. That alone is like 3 hours to do 15 minutes from one end of that city to the next.
Yeah.
But I had a load of material, and I was like, I'm a person who, if I want to leave my house for a week, I can just go leave my house for a week. I don't have to make big plans or anything. So I was like, let me just, hang out. I can travel. I can hop in my Jeep. I usually sleep in my Jeep. I dropped this material off that, I knew that on my way to Aquino, I would have a paycheck headed back to me down here in Virginia. So I was good financially. I was like, let me go up there. hang out. Let me at least meet these people, stuff like that. I had no intention of any like business or CC prerogative or priority there. I just wanted to go and hang out and get away from home and just meet people and see some thick ass tanks and shit. And I will warn your viewers, and you're going to want to put this up there, that this is an adult conversation, so you're going to hear adult language and adult themes.
Copy.
And it was a whole lot of fun. If you've never been, I know people have a lot of hate towards wargaming. I really feel bad for a lot of the staff because, man, they just get shitted on, like, just for hitting the live button.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just
Some of it is earned, but not even close to it. Not even close to a majority of it, I would say.
I don't like to throw people out there. I hate throwing names, and I'm not going to. But I hate just trashing people, especially when they have nothing to do with what they're just mediators, right? They're just here to bring what's coming from overseas, from Russia.
Yeah.
And I think it's very difficult for people to understand that. But I did get to meet a few, and here's an interesting story. I'm happy I mentioned this. I'll have to look back at my notes. I have some papers here.
Good.
Nothing to roll, but
I never prepare, so I'm glad you did. It's good.
I vaguely prepared, but anyway, I get to Aquino. I'm like maybe 2 or 3 miles outside of the grounds, if you will, the battlegrounds. Not even that. I think it was like 2 or 3 blocks. But I get up there. I try to check into a motel, and they're like, "Well, you can only check in online." I'm like, "All right." So I go to like some Goodwill version or some version of a Goodwill like you would find down here in the States up there, and I sit in their parking lot. I remember going in. I grabbed a hoodie because I was expecting to be cold that night, and so I went ahead. I got on my phone. I reserved a spot. I reserved my motel room, and I get there, and I set myself up because I've already been on the road for like 2 or 3 days here. I want to get all that grime, and I want to look presentable when I show up anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So I got a motel room, and I spent the night there. Grabbed a few cookies from the entrance area, from the desk.
Dinner.
So I wake up. Yeah, basically dinner. Sadly, I hadn't really eaten anything all day either. So I wake up the following morning. I get dressed. I'm showered. I take a quick selfie and post it to Twitter. I get into the breakfast lobby area, and who the fuck walks in but literally the chieftain? So I unknowingly actually grabbed a motel or hotel, whatever you want to call it, the same hotel that Wargaming staff grabbed.
Yeah.
So in walks the chieftain, and he's got his he's like 6'10", Sasquatch's brother, and he doesn't recognize me, but he recognizes that I recognize him, and I'm kind of like, hey, and anyway, he recognizes that I recognize him. He comes over, he sits down. We have to make room for him. He's a pretty large fella.
Yeah, I met him. Yeah.
And he takes his hat off and puts his stuff down, and we end up sitting there having a conversation for like 10 minutes over a quick breakfast. And so that was like that was kind of like a mind blown sort of moment. Like, wow, that's really weird. Like, what are the that's some crazy odds.
So I went to D-Day Connie. I'll just tell my quick story. It was kind of funny actually. You know who Mountain Man is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I knew he was going to be there. I'd never really watched any of his stuff. I had no idea what he looked like. So I actually ran into Ominous Vixen in the airport, and we drove out to D-Day. So we're checking into our hotel. I get my room. I'm going up the thing, and as I'm coming back down, the elevator opens up. Get in, and when it goes down, this great big bushy beard dude goes by and kind of, he's got this, he's got the Mountain Man look. He just goes cruising by. I don't know if you ever met him or seen him, but he's got.
No, I never have.
Yeah, he's got that kind of get away from me visage as he's walking around. No offense to him, he's a great dude, but I'm like, oh, okay. So I get off him, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, there's an a-hole. So I go down and I'm hanging out with the Wargaming guys who are going to drive us out to D-Day, and they're like, hey, we're waiting for Mountain Man. He just went in. We're like, all right, whatever. And here comes that dude that I had just passed on the elevator. I'm like,
dude that you wanted to give the finger to earlier.
Like, okay, I'm glad I did not say anything or be an a-hole back.
Sometimes it generally it is best just to not say anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And who knows what he thought of me? He's probably thought the same. Probably thought the same thing. So all right, so you've been playing tanks for how long?
Um, God, 8 years since 2012, and
So,
I'll finish my story real
all
quick.
right.
I actually did go up. I got to meet Sophie Line. She's a sweetheart. I got to meet Cabbage. Because I want to tell a little bit of the story. I actually have my own set of videos that I actually want to do and put this out there. And I got to meet Tragic. So that was really cool. I talked to Cabbage a little bit. Tragic is definitely a little bit of a prankster. She actually came over to a laptop I was at, and I was scrolling through the tanks. I wasn't on my account. I was on their computer, their press accounts or whatever. And I was looking at Artie, and she literally comes over and she just takes the mouse. I'm looking at her thinking like she's gonna correct something, or she needs to get in here or fix something on the computer. She literally takes the mouse and she just hits battle on Artie. I don't play Artie. If you know me, I don't play Artie at all.
Yeah.
She just hits battle, and I'm like, well, okay, I guess I'm playing Artie now. So she's pretty comical. She's a bit of a
Yeah.
prankster, I can imagine. I think so anyway. Sadly, I didn't get a chance to really talk to her much, and I would have liked to. So I'm hoping that COVID fucks off, and at some point I get to go to another one of these events and shit. But COVID
I was
COVID.
out in Austin and actually just called them up and came by the office and ended up streaming with them one afternoon on a Friday, and they gave me
Oh,
a tour
really?
of the office in Austin, and the great bunch. Met all those guys and had a
Yeah,
really nice time.
yeah. I harbor no hard feelings. I mean, I feel bad for them because I know that they just get shitted on, and it's not really their fault, guys. It's really, but I understand the frustration with the game. I understand it wholeheartedly. So you're not your stories aren't falling on deaf ears. Your aggravation isn't falling on deaf ears.
Yeah, absolutely,
But
absolutely.
go ahead and continue with
Yeah,
the.
man. So you come in about 8 years ago. You do stream. Do you do any YouTube stuff?
I do YouTube, but it's as varied as the shit you're gonna see here in my house. It is not dedicated to World of Tanks. You might find a few things on there about World of Tanks. I think I have a tournament or two that's on there. I did over the Christmas break do a video promoting World of Tanks boxes
Yeah.
and the opening of their boxes. So that's, but again, I mean, you're gonna find anything from troubleshooting my Jeep's transmission. Carbide stuff. You're going to see me doing some things with carbide, including working a big 50-ton hydraulic hammer that I used to run. There's all kinds of stuff on there.
That's cool.
It's
So we were talking. We started. You were telling me about you got this great big cache of electronics, and you're actually breaking this thing down. So are you doing this freelance?
I do run my own business. I take things apart. Like that's
Right.
my career. That's the best way I can explain it. Is I break things down. I find ways to break stuff down that I can make money at in a economical and financially profitable way. That was when I used to run a shop up in Pennsylvania. That's what I did. Like I created machines to separate, sort, and clean material. And as I tell people, I have a can't think of the word, but I have a master's in destroying shit. So I actually learned from the best in the business, and I went up there. I was as green can be, and this guy was literally he was ready to retire. He's ready to sell the shop and retire and let things go. He has multiple patents out there, especially for tire shredding products. And I went up there, and through a series of deals, I had brought him some mining bits from a scrapyard in West Virginia. I packed them up on my truck. This was it was a really chaotic time when I was younger, and I really didn't have a job. I was actually either living in my truck, living on the road, or living behind a building. But fun times. They weren't bad. Like, don't think of it as a negative experience. It was actually a lot of fun. You ever slept out under the stars next to the river, or next to your truck next to the James River?
Yeah. Yes, I have. But I find those times are more fun the further away they are.
Well, yeah, I don't think I would want to come across you.
You romanticize these things when they're far away, but they are. You're right. But it's a freedom, right? It's just you can do what
it's
you
a
want.
freedom. It really is.
Yeah.
It is a nice sense of freedom. It can be expensive and it can be kind of hazardous if you don't know your way.
Right.
But you find your way. And anyway, I found my way up there. I drove up there. I brought him this load of mining bits, and I was like, "Listen, there's a whole truckload down there. You know, I can bring a sample up." I brought him a sample up, and he's like, "Well, would you be willing to, if we bought the whole truckload, would you be willing to come up here and possibly do them and work for me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think I could do that." So I went back down to Virginia, waited a few weeks. Finally, I got the call to go up there, and I started working there. And within 6 months, I had a key to the place. And this sounds crazy, but within 3 years, like I really took to it. I took to it like people take to gaming. I love doing it. I mean, I had a huge furnace. I had presses. I had giant pieces of equipment, machinery. I had grinding stuff, all at my disposal, all at my disposal. Like what, early 20 somethings does not want that at their disposal to use, and it was fun. I learned from the best in the business. The other guy that was working there was an old coal miner. I don't know if you remember the Q Creek 9 incident where 9 miners were trapped in a mine in Pennsylvania in 2003. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yep.
I actually worked with one of the miners' fathers, and he was like in his 70s still working there. And he had already worked in the coal mine for something like 35 or 40 years. But again, I learned I was the third employee there. I was young, I was green. If they pointed and told you to go do something, you went and did it.
Yeah.
There was no bullshit, but there was plenty of opportunity there, and it was fun. It was exercise. It was just a really, really.
So I
fun
imagine
time.
every time you got a new thing that had to be taken apart,
Yeah,
you probably had
yeah.
to modify your process slightly, figure that out,
Yep,
maybe even
yep,
create a machine, use the machine a different way. See,
yep.
that kind of work, and for my flying, it's the same thing. Everything's different. So that day you get up, you're like, I'm not going to go. I know I'm not going to do the same thing. I'm going to do a similar thing, but I'm going to be able to maybe do something different today. And it's always like, all right, that's going to be fun. Let's go do this.
I'm gonna be a little bit of a show off here. I'm gonna show you one of the pieces of equipment I designed. I've only shown this on stream once. A lot of my stuff around here is very proprietary, but I'm gonna go grab it because you brought it up.
All right, he's going to show us the laser. It's not a laser. I don't know what it is. I hope it's a laser. It'd be great if it was a laser, actually. Oh, I hear some banging. Oh, it is a laser. Look at that thing. Nice.
Let me try not to ruin my area or my setup or disconnect from you.
All right.
But this is actually I designed this about 5 years ago, and I didn't really design it as much as I don't know if your camera's going to be able to pick that up.
Yeah, I can see it.
2 and 3 things together, and what this is the 500,000 BTU torch. This is actually a stand I got from Lowe's for like cutting 2x4s. This is basically like a sawhorse.
Yeah.
And I just put 2 and 3 together. I had to come up and get myself a propane gauge because I do enforce safety around me. And I want the proper gauges. I want the proper fittings. So this whole setup right here cost me about $500. And I didn't even know if it was going to work. But this is one of the things that I use to process my carbide when I do well drilling bits and pull it out. So it's a lot of just thought experiments and just kind of going, $500 a piece. And I didn't even know if it was going to work. But I had to put it together and see. But, this is what we used to do up in Pennsylvania when I ran that shop. We used to come up with ways of, this is what the customer wants. This is the sample they're sending us. Here it is. See what you can do.
Right.
And that's what it was a lot of fun because I was literally given, like I said, I really enjoy doing it. And I was given pretty much free range of, here's everything you need. Whatever else you need, I'll go buy. Find a way.
That's cool.
So
all right. So what? How do you pivot from doing that to you play some tanks? Is tanks your downtime?
Yeah, tanks is definitely my downtime.
Yeah.
It's my downer, just period right now.
All right. Why is it your downer?
I don't know. I think it's me. I have been struggling here lately with the game. I don't know if it's because, I feel very put on the spot. We have a lot of CCs, and I'm not a bad player by no means. But we have a lot of CCs in there that I guess for whatever reason they get this aura of superiority around the game based on a win rate number, and it kind of feels, though I don't necessarily think of them as my competition, it feels like because I'm not in their spot, somehow I don't have a voice. So, and that mixed with a lot of the game mechanics and the constant changing in Equipment 2.0 coming up, it's really frustrating, but I'm back into a mode here where I don't know if you do this. I don't know if other people have done this, but I've definitely done this in the past, and I know it helps. And that is, I try to work out sometime during that day before I play tanks. So I try to have an exercise routine before I play tanks, and I notice that even if the games aren't great, my mentality is a lot clearer.
Yeah.
And I'm a lot less. I don't feel as stressed when things go wrong. You know what I mean? I don't feel as though I have to necessarily lash out, if you will. I don't really lash out on stream. There are some of it though is pure theatrical. You know, when you hit that live button, you're an entertainer.
Yeah.
So a lot of that aggressive, what comes across as being aggression, because you guys can't see my face. I don't use a webcam anymore. Is actually a theatrical response. You know, it's a heightened form of emotion. So it's not really meant to be negative all the time.
Right.
Sometimes
it's easy to fall into that. It is easy to fall into that.
Yeah, and it's easy. And when you get a person on a webcam in third person view like this, you don't really. I guess it's better than text, but you can't always see their face. And like I said, I don't use a webcam, so it's hard to judge what their real emotional output is. But when you hit the live button, you're an entertainer. This is a virtual stage right here, and I'm an entertainer. You're an entertainer. Anybody who hits that live button has an ego, right? And your ego has to stand up and say, "God damn it, look at me," for whatever reason, even if it's only to 4 viewers. You have a little bit of an
or zero
viewers. You have a need in you to say something, to show off, if you will.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. And regarding the exercise thing, that's a great point. And I mean that's been proven in studies constantly that you reduce your stress level from exercise. So when you sat down after you exercise, your stress level is already lower. If you don't, and you're hyped up from work, or you just roll in, your stress level starts here, and it does that.
Yeah, yeah. I try not to get hyped up from work. If there's one thing I can truly say in life, work. You know, I do work at a machine shop out of town. They're strictly seasonal. I have worked for them on and off since I was, 19, 20 years old. So I mean, when I don't do that, I come home and I'm doing my own work, my own business. But work is there's no pressure put on me. There's no, hey, I need you to work overtime this week, shit like that. They know I'm a dependable person. I'm not going to break their machines. I'm not going to show up on drugs. I'm not going to show up drunk. I don't have any kids that I have to, abruptly leave for. So,
isn't it weird how much leeway you can build by actually being a good working person?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's interesting.
You can't. I was raised in a family where people took their work very seriously. Like, you got to work hard. You got to work 60, 80 hours a week. Well, my brother does that. My brother is super focused. Like, he can work 80 hours a week, and, that's his thing. I work 40, and I want to be left the fuck alone. Like, don't call me. Don't text me. Don't call me. I don't want to know you exist again until Monday morning, okay? Not because I hate my job, but because I'm doing other stuff here. I got a garden to maintain. I have a house to maintain. I've got stuff to take apart. I have my business. I have emails. I'm constantly on Facebook, Craigslist, Marketplace, looking for materials, or just any new ideas that float in my head. And then there's always tank stuff. There's always that 2 to 3 hours every night on the weekend. I try to do that on Tuesdays and Thursdays, which is really hard. During the weekend, it's not so bad, but Tuesdays and Thursdays are really hard because I want to be there. I want to be as best of a CC as I can be, but at the same time, I've just gotten off of work, and really all I want to do is come home, I want to eat dinner, I want to shower, and I want to take a nap.
It can definitely be tiring, yeah, absolutely.
And then what I try to do is I get up and try to exercise for an hour, and then go hit the stream button. And it's difficult, but I do find that exercising, even if it's an 8 to 10 minute run, I usually go through the whole thing, a whole series of, barbells, dumbbells, whatever you call them, as well as a resistance like stair stepper type machine. And I hate to say it because I hate exercising, but it is a legitimate stress relief, and you do better. And even if your games are garbage, you're not venting as much. Your dopamine levels or stress levels, whatever you want to call them, are way lower. That you're not looking like a raging asshole on stream.
All right, so we opened up a little bit with the game's irritating a little bit. So let's get into a couple things. One thing you definitely want to talk about was botting. So What are your thoughts there?
I'm big on. I listen to a lot of interviews about a lot of AI bots and deep learning bots, and I think Elon Musk has, I don't know what's it called, not Starlink, but he's got some other bot that's like rivaling Google's or something, or maybe they're both working together. I don't know.
Starlink is
But
the satellite thing for the
yeah, I think
Wi-Fi.
Starlight is
Yeah, or
the satellite
yeah,
for the Wi-Fi.
yeah.
But he's also working on other, intelligent bots and things of that nature. And, recently well, not so recent, but about 2 or 3 years ago, they actually, and I don't know if this was League of Legends. I don't stay up to date with the gaming community as far as those games or Dota, but nonetheless, they implemented an AI bot and they put it up against actual players. And I think essentially the moral of the story is the AI bot won. And I think bots are at a point now that they could be really dangerous to this sort of multiplayer experience that World of Tanks is. I mean, even when they did what was the mode they did a few months ago? Was it Steel Wall
Steel Hunter.
or Steel Hunter?
Yeah.
Didn't I, if I recall correctly, didn't they actually have to scale back the bots in that game mode?
Oh yeah, there was Home Front. It wasn't Steel Hunter. It was Home Front, and the other one,
Yeah.
whatever the other one was. Yeah, yeah. I think just from pure reaction and hitting what they shoot at, but some of that has to do with the coding on how accurate they make the guns. There's a give or take there. When they code a bot on how good it can be as far as taking cover. I think they probably hit more than they should have.
I Probably, but they probably did have a different RNG aspect to them.
Right.
But they were definitely bots, and they were definitely present, and they were definitely very difficult to overcome the higher levels you went up, I think. And I definitely foresee that being. I'll give one more example. There was another streamer out there. He's not a CC. He mentioned a couple Russian players over in Russia who had like stupidly fucking off the chart stats. I mean, like, I don't know what they were, but they're like 7K or 8K win rates, like just ridiculous, mind blowing stats. And I went over to one of these people's streams, and something that I noticed on the stream was that there was definitely no webcam. All you really heard were tank sounds and music in the background, like some sort of offbeat music going. And aside from retardedly good damage output, there was no emotion. There was no interaction from the person actually supposedly in charge of the stream and in charge of that tank and the audience that was watching them. I didn't see any at all. Not even when shots would miss or some sort of explosion or something stupid happened on the battlefield. There was just no reaction. It was just pure somebody or an AI bot was behind that tank. I don't know. I'm never gonna know, but it would not. Like I said, I listen to interviews. I keep up with a lot of the technological aspects of it, and Dr. Michio Kaku, Lex Friedman, what's another? Some dude named Krauss, I think. I can't remember his name. Brian Greene is another one, a physicist. It's possible, and it's gonna be possible very, very shortly. If it's not already. I mean, I think in League of Legends or Dota, they actually have whole servers dedicated to players that will have to play against strictly bots, and the bots are winning like 95% of the time. So that's my take on botting. I think it can be very, very dangerous to the game. I would assume Wargaming is on it, and they're aware of it. I know of some botting right now that's going on that is very much along those lines. But again, I can only hope for the best and hope it doesn't, destroy the player experience and not be able to be detected. That's my biggest fear.
The interesting thing about that whole idea to me is the amount of effort it takes to do it, and then I have to naturally switch on my economics brain and go, what's the benefit?
Well, let me ask you this. What if you were paid by someone to do it?
Well, obviously, yeah, that's what I'm saying. What's the benefit? What's the incentive? And then why is somebody? You got to think levels deep. You got to, all right, fine. Someone paid the guy to do it. Why? What's the benefit of him paying it? What does he get out of out of that. It may be somebody who it may not be that big a deal of coding, and it's somebody who's running a Twitch page and they're making their $500 a month or whatever the heck it is. I don't know. I don't know.
Some of it is just a name. Some of it is, I'm sure, ego. If somebody's got a large enough ego and a big enough wallet, the sky's the limit.
True. Yeah, absolutely.
You'd be surprised what an ego. For me and you, we probably don't really give a shit, but somebody who
Yeah, for me, I like to be as good as I can be, which is fairly limited. But I try to learn every time I play the game and get a little bit better and have fun. I mean,
definitely.
You can lose that when we start digging down deep into the levels. You can lose the idea that we're talking about a pixel tank game here.
Yeah. But it costs real money to play that pixel tank game to a degree.
Yeah.
So. And there was a time I used to have a whole lot of fun playing the game, and like I said, I think I definitely need to start exercising more because I know it helps, and I've started again here recently in the last couple of weeks. But maybe just maybe not so much take a breather, but I actually reached out to another CC, a very good player of the game, just last night, and I actually asked him. I was like, listen, do you think you could reteach me how to play this game? So, I recognize that I'm obviously having problems, and, what can I do to rectify that situation so that it's not as bad of an experience? Because we do, the longer we do something, if you're not getting better at it, or if it's frustrating you, you've played the game long enough, you should know. So maybe you just need a refreshment course, a retraining course, look at something a little differently. Maybe you're not seeing something. Maybe you need a third-person perspective to come in and say, hey, this is what you're doing wrong.
Yeah, I think some of it is the meta changes, the game changes, and sometimes people get stuck in ways, and they for whatever reason, they don't see it, or they don't want to, or they don't have time, or whatever.
I definitely play this game like it's still 2014. I absolutely do. I can. If you were to watch my gameplay, you'd probably be like, he's playing this game from 6 fucking years ago.
Well, I do the same thing, and I mentioned it on stream, and when I consciously can think about it, it actually goes back to what you were talking about being an entertainer, because it's tied into several things. And I'll talk about it and go, all right, I probably shouldn't do this, or, this is probably not the right idea, and then 5 minutes later, or 5 seconds later, I'm out of the game. I'm like, all right, I saw it, but my habit patterns are so ingrained. I have a total negative transfer of how I've played since, 10 years, that it's a bit of a struggle at times. And then that entertainment thing comes in, and then you get frustrated because you're not producing a product that you think the people want to watch, because you're like, well, every time I stream I suck. I actually play worse when I stream. That just happens.
Yep, definitely, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, but so this will be a great segue then into recently we've had an individual who has been trolling the community pretty hard with his scouting shenanigans.
Yeah.
He, she, it, them, whatever the case may be. You have some thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I watched his stream a little bit, and I legitimately went to go talk, because, it's easy for someone to troll. It's easy to call someone a troll, but I always want to know, like, what's the underlying reason here? Like, why? Because this person was adamant about it, like, every fucking battle for probably a year. Like, that takes some real dedication up top. So I reached out to them, and I was like, because I even went off on them, or not off on them, but I was like, hey, thanks for being a dick in my battle, you son of a bitch, or something like that. And it's easy to do that, but I actually went into a stream, and I was like, why? Like, what's the deal? I want to reach out. I want to understand why someone is doing something.
Did you get an answer? Because I actually reached out twice to do an interview, and I never got an answer.
Oh, you're probably never going to get one.
No, I didn't expect it, but I thought I'd give it a shot.
I did get an answer, and apparently his answer was just, it's free XP.
Right.
And that is all I got. And I really didn't, because Wargaming's EULA is open-ended, I didn't like seeing that gameplay, and I didn't like seeing it in the pubs, but that's one person who has dedicated their entire Tanks career to doing that.
Yeah.
And when Wargaming sent him, I don't know, some whatever document stating that your gameplay does fall under such and such a category.
With
We
a
could,
slight shift in the EULA, by the way, at the same
yeah,
time. Yeah.
yeah, and we do have the ability to sanction your account if you continue to play in this manner. I can't remember the whole document. I'm not going to try to. But I felt in some ways kind of bad for him because that's one person out of the thousands that are playing a day. But we have the Chieftain, we have the 279E and the EBR that are causing a visceral hatred reaction among the community. And Wargaming does nothing about that. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And all you get from them is we're looking at the data.
Yeah.
You bring up this guy who's only been recognized really, I think, in the last couple months of doing this, and instant. What's their real commitment to the player base? If they're willing to do that to one person, but not go after a game aspect that they themselves implemented and know are causing problems, they don't do anything about that. But they came after one individual. I didn't want to see it. I'm glad it did, but I didn't really want to see it. I think there could have been a better way of going about it, other than that. I don't know.
Yeah, I would agree with you on the surface on that, but I don't know what that other way would be. That's an easy thing to say, and I'm in agreement with you. But when we say things like, "Well, there should have been a better way," I'm racking my brain and I'm thinking there was no good answer. There was no good answer, and the explanation from them that, well, it's the way I like to play. That's a slippery slope, as well as, hey, you can't play that way. That's a slippery slope going the other way.
Personally could think of that the community, that the player base, if you were to encounter this person and you know what he's going to do, you need to be able to flex and activate it. He's going to YOLO tard into the enemy base.
No, some people did that. In the forums, people would mention that, like, all right, if I see him on my team, I know what I'm going to set up for.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I get new material in, or when I was up at the shop and we would get new samples in, find a way to do this,
Yeah.
All right, well, I got to figure out how to flex to this. I got to figure out how I can,
But a casual person's not going to have any idea. He doesn't know Lord Sheen from Lord Peen.
Mm-hmm. I don't care to mention, I don't care because he knows who he is. Everybody knows it's Lord Sheen. But, I would just, if he's on the enemy team, you know what he's going to do. If he's on your team, he's actually almost to an advantage if you can take advantage of it. Right. He's throwing the enemy team off base. That allows you as much as 10 to 20 seconds to get into a better position and continue that flow, that one-on-one, because all their guns are turned in the opposite direction, trying to shoot this one EBR or whatnot. So,
I think that in the aggregate, overall, he's a net negative for all of his teams because his win rate is pretty poor.
Yeah.
So there's the proof in the pudding. I completely understand what you're saying. You can take advantage of it, and I'm sure there's games that were won by that person zinging through everything. Mm-hmm. But then it goes back again to, hey, who are we to say how you enjoy the game? Except that it's negatively impacting more people than that one person's enjoyment, which then gets into the argument, which I know we've had on the CC channel. Oh well, then I guess we need to ban bad players.
Yeah,
not the same thing.
Yeah, when it comes to bad players, because I'm actually considered an above-average player. I'm certainly not a unicum. I technically, like you said, I know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I decide to do the opposite anyway. But I really strongly think that there needs to be some sort of base level win 8. Not a good one, not a great one, but a base level win 8 you need to achieve in that tank or that tier in order to progress to the next tier. It could be shit or yellow or shit or green or something like that. But at least attain it in that tier that you're playing at that moment in order to progress to the next tier. I mean, it doesn't. It could be it could be like an 800 win 8 or something. Like you need to at least make 1,000 win 8 or something in this particular tier in order to progress to the next. Because there are players out there. I was in a battle where somebody literally bought a tier 7 premium. I think it was the IS-2M. Is that a tank? Is that a correct premium?
Yeah. Yep.
They had 2 battles. That's it. Not 2 battles in that tank. They just had 2 fucking battles in their entire career in World of Tanks. Yeah. And I was placed in a match with them. And they did exactly what somebody with 2 battles would do. And they went right out into the open. and I don't even know if they got a shell off, and we're immediately wrecked.
Yeah.
You know,
I've seen a lot of low battle accounts in the last month since the Rona. I mean, like 200, 300, 1,000 battles,
yeah,
all with
yeah.
tier 8 premiums like you're talking about. But it goes back to what you said. You got to watch, and back to what I was saying, it's all tied together. You got to watch what's going on in the game. You don't play the map, play the match. You don't have an idea of the map, but if the match isn't going meta way, you got to do something else. That's your choice. You have to make that choice. And I struggle too with the same thing. I blindly go to my spot, and then I look around and go, oh, 200 battle guy has driven into the lake at Lakeville and he's dead. I mean, you're like, oh, great.
Yeah, I will definitely report those people. If I find you suiciding in the beginning of a battle, at the end of battle, I don't really care. But if I find you doing it because you've looked at fucking XVM or somebody's win 8 or some shit, and I see you doing it in the beginning of the battle, I will definitely report your ass.
I had 3 in one game. I did it on my miserable Monday. I showed it. 3 guys at the end.
Wow.
All the last 3 guys all drove into one after another.
Yeah, I was watching Haglar play, and a teammate of his, an Artie player, thought the battle was over. And it wasn't. I was watching Haglar play, and the Artie YOLO tarded himself. He went up against a wall and hit the boom cannon and died and just suicided. And Haglar actually was able to end up carrying it to a win. But I mean, still, even if Haglar's a good player, you're making it like that much more fucking difficult. You're still a gun in the game, But I understand if the enemy if it's nothing but you and the enemy left. I kind of understand it. You don't want to be farmed for damage. It's a way of saying, fuck you, teammates, I guess, if you will. It's a way of complaining.
See, I look at it opposite. For me, I live for the possibility of ammo racking someone. It used to be better when Artie did more damage because you could almost always shotgun that last guy that came at you and take him out.
Yeah.
Now it's not so much. But I live for that. I try to get one more shot. I can't tell you how many ram kills I have with Artie endgame just charging people. Who just come at me and stuff. But
it's better to do it that way. But when I see it, I can understand the frustration. If your team has just evaporated in the first 3 fucking minutes, and you haven't even gotten 2 shells off, and I can kind of understand that frustration. You know what? Let me just end this now and move on my way.
Yeah. All right. So you said you don't play Artie, and we just mentioned Artie. So usually I do a little rapid fire on various things. Your opinion of Artie in the game?
My opinion of Artie, again, I would like it to at least be less than 3. 1 Artie would be great. It really shouldn't be more than 2. And I have 2 different perspectives on Artie depending on the tank I'm playing. I hate to see my Artie play whack-a-mole with a fucking EBR. That's the work when other enemies need to kind of be killed. I understand the frustration of the EBR. I understand that you always want that. You're going to be that one Artie player who gets that kill shot on the fucking EBR, and you're just dying for it, right?
Right.
And it's really frustrating for me to see. But if I'm in the 430U, it sucks. If I'm in the IS3A, it sucks. If I'm in the mouse, my mouse I actually run a spall liner because my crews are so stacked on the mouse. I have like 8 sets of crew skills on the mouse. It's IS3A and 430U, it's annoying. Mouse, it's annoying but manageable. If I'm in the Borsig, I'm doing something wrong. If I'm getting artied in the Borsig,
right.
I am not playing the Borsig properly. I am doing something wrrong, and I'm a very good player in the Borsig. I'm going to throw it out there that I am, based on battles to win rate ratio. I do better off stream in it, but it's almost like one of those things. Like if I'm getting artied in the Borsig, it's kind of like, and you'll see it on stream. I can't be mad. All I can be is like, listen, I'm so sorry for causing you to shoot me. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things. Like I can't get mad because I'm in a Borsig. I should know better. It's my fault.
Or the red team just played really well, right? They just beat you.
Maybe, but if you ever watch me play the Borsig, I am not your average Borsig player. I definitely look for those niche areas of maps. I will almost never go to the sniping spots that all the other TDs go to. I will just never play where other people play because it's getting to the point now where everyone's blind firing bushes regardless.
Yeah, that's true.
So you just can't put, and I don't have armor, so it doesn't matter what kind of RNG you have.
Yeah,
you're going to take a shell to the face if somebody blind fires that area.
A lot of times it's HE too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so. I think it should be less than 3. It should easily. I think stun should go away. But
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just kind of like, wiping my ass with a hula hoop when it comes to that nonsense. When it comes to,
don't try that at home, folks. That's no way to. That's no way to.
I told you, you're gonna have to put a sensor, parental
I don't know.
advisory
I don't know
sticker
how
on
you
your
flush
screen.
that. I'm trying to figure out how you flush that. Do you just sling it away into the woods? If you're
I've never tried it. I just take people's word for it. So I mean,
I've never heard that. That's fantastic. All right, so
go ahead.
Speaking of crap on a hula hoop, what about EBRs? Wheeled tanks, EBRs.
My theory behind this is the introduction of both the 279E, the wheel tanks, and the Chieftain. You waste more shells per battle, and we're not getting an answer on that. And I know that's tinfoil hat time, but how many more shells do you throw at an EBR that don't do damage? I mean, that's a given. It's hard enough, especially if you're on a low FPS computer, to try to pre-aim that shit. And then you have RNG and, wheel bounces, or the wheels absorb it and the thing's still going, 90 kilometers an hour. My best option that I have come up with is to HE them. Don't shoot AP, don't shoot heat, HE the little bastards. Especially in the beginning of battle. EBRs are getting to the point where you could almost guarantee where they're going to go and where they're going to show up at.
Yeah.
Be pre-aimed and have an HE shell loaded. There's been many a times I'm in the Borsig with a long barrel. I just a month or so ago, I shot an EBR right to the face for maximum HE pen for 780. I destroyed his life with one fucking shell. He wasn't bouncing that. The wheels weren't absorbing it. I took out crew members, I took out modules, and literally stopped that motherfucker dead in his tracks. I mean, he was limping his ass back home, back to base.
I think the misses. I think the misses are a bigger deal, really, than the hit no pens. You know what I mean? It's just it's hard to hit them.
And
it's the game design.
Yeah, and it's wasting more coin per battle, and that's something that hasn't been brought up even by other CCs. They like to dismiss that as being a tinfoil hat time, but premium rounds aren't doing it. Standard rounds aren't doing it. You got the Chieftain that's absorbing these things as well, that you can't hope to pen the Chieftain if it's hold down. And it has the ability to be very flexible across all maps, where other tanks are very, the mouse, you can only go certain positions on maps, right? Even the 430U, you can only go certain positions. The Chieftain has the ability to fulfill all roles across a number of maps, sort of maybe the EBR's role.
Well, it's got the one, it's got the one thing that has risen to the top as far as capabilities go in this game, based on the way the maps are built, and that's gun depression.
Yeah.
I mean, it has lots of gun depression and a strong turret. That combination and the speed. So that combination is, in the meta of the game, that's what's important based on the way they've designed their maps.
Yeah, and it's really disappointing to see that, and to see Wargaming not take any notice of it, and to just kind of go on as if well, you're just going to have to.
I think it's worse than that, for free. I think it's worse than that because they've recently come out and said, well, that's by design. It's meant to be a good tank as a reward for the good players. And I don't know what to say to that kind of statement because it's so stupid. It's hard to even respond.
It's basic. It's, in my opinion, I know that people aren't going to like this, and it comes across as toxic and negative, but it's kind of like a fuck you to the player base that doesn't. I can't come into this game every day after work and stream for 6 hours. It's not there mentally. I can't. I don't want to have to keep up with missions. I just want to hit the pubs and have some fun and not be shitted on twice, either by a loss, but also a loss and losing credits just to try and pull out a win. And that's a very frustrating aspect, and I think it's a frustrating aspect to a lot of people. I don't want to have to join other people's strongholds. You don't know what you're going to get when you join somebody else's stronghold. You don't know what kind of people are going to come in there. I mean, you could be streaming, and suddenly they're talking about some weird shit that you're just kind of like, should I stop the stream? Like, how do I? You know what I mean?
This is why I don't use Discord or go into multiple chat areas on stream, because you can't control it and you never know what some bozo's going to say. Yeah.
And even if it's not on stream, I just don't want to deal with people's attitudes and their shit. And you have to have some coordination if you're going to do strongholds and be relatively well in them, do relatively well
Yeah.
in them, be relevant, and make some coin. It's just there's a huge there's just so much shit to leap through, and I just don't have the time. I don't want to do it. I just want to join the pubs and not lose as much coin as I do, and not feel like I'm at a disadvantage because I'm playing something I enjoy.
Well, I have nothing against people who have a lot of time to play the game for whatever reason
Yeah,
in their
yeah,
life.
yeah.
I don't judge that, and I don't even have a problem with those people getting more rewards with stuff, things. My problem is when it's blatantly overpowered,
Hmm.
and then instead of saying yeah we need to fix it, they say that's how it's meant to be. I have about 1,000 more questions after that that are begged to be answered that they won't answer. That whole idea makes zero sense to me.
Yeah, it's now in my personal opinion, I understand the reason for reward tanks. Personally, I think it should be
Sure.
some sort of different reward. But I think reward tanks, or when it comes to that level, that tier 10 level, kind of like premium tanks, I think reward tanks, you should be able to make bogus, like just stupid coin at tier 10 and stupid XP at tier 10. That's how I think reward tanks should be. They should be at least equivalent to Tech Tree, not overpowered, and you should just be able to make bank in them just by looking at the enemy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That to me would be more of a reward rather than just a win 8 enhancer to pat yourself on the back and make yourself look.
Yeah, kind of make people make a decision. Do I want to play my favorite strong tank, or do I want to make some coin in an average
Hmm.
tank? I
Yeah,
would agree with
and it
that. It
was.
used to be that way. That's the 10 years ago thing. That you and I
Oh,
are.
really?
That's how it used to be. Premiums were basically average to below average
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
on purpose
Hmm.
because they
Hmm.
made more. But that's long gone. That's long gone.
I probably I don't know of any truly overpowered premiums, but obviously the reward tanks are overpowered. But as far as premiums, I don't know. I don't play that many. I had the IS3A. I've had the Mutts in the past. The PZ858 Mutts, I think it was.
Yeah.
The one with the big bear claw and shit on the side of it.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, let's change gears just a little bit. Talk a little bit more about your streaming and what would you describe your we like to say community? What's yours like?
Slim.
Go see for free. Make his community bigger.
I do have a lot of dedicated viewers. I actually streamed Resident Evil 3 last night, and people were kind of hanging out for a little while. Wasn't many.
Nice.
And, my stream, like you said, is kind of an afterthought. It's not. I'm not looking to be the next big World of Tanks CC. I maybe when I first started, I may have had like a vague hope of that because when I first started, I was doing 6-8 hour streams a day and shit like that. But I'm being really productive in life right now. More without the use of medications or anything like that. So that's pretty important to me. If you knew me when I was younger, I don't think you'd probably want to know me. I was very uh, like I said, when I moved up to Pennsylvania, I had a lot of energy.
All mock,
Um,
no vector.
yeah, a lot of energy and all in all directions but straight.
Yeah.
Um, and moving up to Pennsylvania, and like I said, I within 3 years, I was actually offered. The guy basically came to me. I was talking to my wife, and he was like, would you like to take over the business? I was actually offered to take over the business, but try to get back and stay on point here. My community isn't very big, but there are a lot of dedicated people in there, and you got I think you got a few of your working class stiffs, if you will, that enjoy it. And there's definitely a few other people in there that are not so much. I would assume your working class stiffs. Probably more along the lines of a gamer, if you will,
Sure.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
and I hate to stereotype people, but you're asking me what my community. So you're getting a little bit of both, I think.
So
And you might
do
even
you
get
talk about the business while you're streaming? Do you talk about what you do and?
I do. I try to give people a heads up. When it comes to carbide and that, though, again, my setup here, I had the ability to have a practically $1 million business just placed in my lap. I ended up declining. I actually quit a few years later on because I realized that it wasn't for me. Um, the carbide aspect of taking things apart, that I love, but it got to the point to where I enjoy my freedom, and I always enjoy that freedom. I enjoy, like, there's a tank event coming up. All I have to do is be like, all right, it's $100 a week put
Yeah.
aside for the next 4 weeks, and I'm out the door. You know
Small
what I mean?
business, you're married to it, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so I ended up not going through with it, but I learned a heck of a lot. Um, and we're getting way off topic from the question here,
Sorry, that's all good, man. It's all good.
yeah, it's I guess an eclectic community. You're gonna get a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
some people have stopped by, and I'm sure they've seen me in one of my moments where I'm like, you know what, fuck this game, fuck RNG, fuck Prototype. You know what I mean? And then there's other people who have walked in, and I'm hitting an EBR at 550 meters full bloom out of the fucking Borsig with a damaged gunner, and they're like, holy shit, I like this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, you're it's different. I don't put. I guess my thing with the streaming and becoming a CC, I want to give people an outlet because I know there's people who are frustrated with this game. I know there are people who are disgruntled with this game, who definitely have their conspiracy theories, and I definitely have mine regarding one of the best times and also one of the worst times in wargaming, and we can get to that. But I want people to come in and be able to vent in my stream and not be called toxic or they need to play better or maybe it's just you or just be flat out banned because there's a lot of CCs out there that if you come into their stream, I got something on my screen here. Okay. If you come into if you go into their stream and you start, I don't like this part of wargaming, you're immediately relegated to either being toxic or mean or a kook or conspiracy theories or some weird thing. There's something wrong with you, and you're usually banned or usually told to leave or you're just called toxic even by the streamer if you're having a problem. If you're having a problem, I'll be more than happy to listen to you because it's not as far-fetched as many of these people seem. Or I get a lot of the whole how did you spot me or I Sixth Sense didn't go off, and I try to explain to them the mechanic of Sixth Sense, and a lot of times your Sixth Sense won't go off, especially, and let me make sure I got this right, and you're welcome to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think if you're spotted and you die before your Sixth Sense goes off, you won't get that notification at all, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't understand that. So, I just try to be, a mediator and, try to get people through the game because, it can be absolutely frustrating and, try to send them off in a different direction, if you will, rather than just, canceling them out. Because I think that's
be more an open ear than. Yeah, I see that a little bit. I try to do the same thing in my stream and on my channel as well. I am more accepting of edgier views, I guess, if you want to call it that way, up to a limit.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my things that says down below, it says, look, if I have to explain to you how to act civilly, then you're a lost cause and you're gone. So I give no warnings. If you come in and start spouting racial blah 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 kind of stuff, but if you're just angry or edgy or whatever, I don't have a problem with it. So you mentioned conspiracy theories. I always ask this question: what is your favorite conspiracy theory? Whether you believe it or don't, however you want to look at it.
I had a very bad thing, or a very damaging, not really damaging or bad thing, but I had something happen to me early on when I started playing this game. I don't know if you remember Tank Companies or not.
Yeah.
But I came into this game completely blind. I picked this game up off of a shelf at Walmart because when I saw the package, I thought MechWarrior 2, but like World War II version. Like
Okay.
that's what went off in my head, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about the game, didn't know where to look for anything about the game, didn't know shit, didn't know alpha damage per minute, didn't know win 8, nothing. Absolutely. In fact, when I first started playing, it was the lull tractor. When I first started playing, I mimicked what a South Park episode did from what's it called, like the Stick of Destiny. Do you remember the one they did about World of Warcraft?
No. Yeah. Yes.
Where all the kids they would just go in, they would just like keep killing these animals and shit over and over again to build up XP to finally get to this main level or whatever. That's exactly how I played the beginning of this game. I would just take the lull tractor in and I would just go in and then I would exit out. I would just, hit triple R and just exit out thinking that, well, all right, I'm going to get some XP. Let me move on to my next tier 1 or tier 2.
So you were a bot, essentially.
Yeah, I was the initial bot. I was everything that I hate about the
You're the
possibilities of this
OG
game.
bot.
Yeah,
The
I'm the
OG.
OG bot, and I didn't know. I just didn't. I mean, this was 2012, so there was no view range circles, there was no draw range,
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
almost nothing
I remember that. It was
um,
hard to know what was happening.
on this game. And not only that, I was coming in from games like Left 4 Dead. I was still playing Halo CE for PC, Halo Combat Evolved for PC. And I was playing in those rooms. In those rooms, you could do what was called like lag hop. Can't speak. Lag hopping,
Yeah,
so that the enemy couldn't shoot you.
yeah.
And that's what I thought. Like when I would see tanks disappear in front of me, I thought, this person's deliberately lagging out so I can't shoot him. That was my mentality going into this game. I knew nowhere to look for answers at all. Didn't know anybody who played this game, and it was a very trying time. And I honestly didn't begin to learn this. I don't even I looked at my win rate and some of my stats the other day. I don't know where they came from. I honest to God, I don't have a fucking clue how I have a 56, and for the longest time I was at a 57% win rate. But to try to stay on track here, about the summer of 2012, I started doing tank companies. I had been involved in a few. I had finally gotten the 3601 after I think like 3 months or so of grinding, and somebody let me into tank companies. I think it was Nine from Newt. And I don't know if you remember that clan. I don't know if you remember Nine. I don't know where he
I
is or
do.
whatever happened to him.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. He was
you remember Nine?
he was a caller, wasn't he?
Yep, yep.
Yeah, yeah. I've played with him quite a bit. Yeah,
I don't know if he still plays this game. I haven't seen him in at least 6, 7 years, probably
yeah.
since I started tank companies with him.
Yep.
And he took me in, and I started learning the basics. I picked up not so much on tank mechanics, but I picked up on map positionings and things of that nature pretty well. And then I guess towards the summer, I just decided that fuck it, let me try calling, and I started my own tank company, and it really started. I wouldn't say I was the best, and I'm not going to take that, but I started doing really, really good, and I started getting players, even though they were low win 8, like sub 1K, even though I didn't know it at the time, I didn't know what to look for. I was just like, listen, you got a tank and you can fire here, follow these calls, go here, do this and that. We started doing really, really well, and I didn't even have a clan at this time. So we started doing, even though we were, shitter. I was actually probably a dark green at this time, maybe a blue on some specific battles.
Yeah, those are the T50-2 days, the Hellcat
Yeah,
days, the
yeah, the Hellcat.
3601.
Yep.
Yep.
In fact, I was one of the first people to actually use a 3601 regularly in tank companies. Muscles One. I don't know if you saw it in Discord. He's another CC. I'm going to shout him out here. And he mentioned in Discord the thousands of tank companies he did with me in the 3601. He's not exaggerating. We did thousands. I mean, I actually looked at a website, and I think by the time tank companies came to an end, I had done almost 8,000 tank companies.
I must have played with you at least
I think
several
you did.
times. I had to.
I think you did.
I had a different name then, though. I was JSGX3. It was a different name.
Okay, more
Yeah.
than likely, we were the scrub tank company, and we could, eventually got to a point we could beat up on some pretty good players. And we weren't perfect, but we could hold our own. Given the numbers stacked against us, we could really hold our own. And Muscles isn't lying. You're not going to get Muscles into your tank company unless you're winning.
Yeah.
Muscles is a 10K PR,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We even had, Pashi would stop by. I don't know if you remember Pashi.
Remember Pashi, yeah.
Lemming Rush would definitely stop in. I remember doing a few with him. There's a few others. It was a lot of fun, and we didn't really. I knew map strategy, and I was good at reading the enemy. I didn't know tank mechanics at all. I didn't really understand view range. I really didn't understand camo value, but I knew map setup, and I knew the basic art of war principles. Throw your enemy off, deceive your enemy, and that's what I was capable of getting my teammates to do, and we was really good at it. And here's where my worst experience comes in. At some point, we came up against some sort of offshoot sub-clan of the Reddit clan. And I guess we must have been beaten up on them pretty good that day. I don't really remember it in detail too much. And it wasn't like vindictively, you know what I mean? There was no like ill will. There was no like, toxic chat shit going on. It wasn't like, somebody had to win, right? It's tank companies, it's two teams. Somebody had to fucking win.
Why you have to be mad? It's only game.
Yeah, and in those days it was all fun. Like there was no really toxic chat. There was no. I mean, I'm sure some people can remember it, but for me, I never had a bad experience with another team that I either lost or beat during that time in the all chat. Usually it was GG or why'd you have to do that or, for free you fiend or something like that.
Sure, yeah.
But there was no hatred. So I guess I had raised some eyebrows at this point. And at this stage, my clan tag, it was my own clan. It was just an off-the-wall, jerk water kind of a clan tag. It was called Busty. It was Busty. That was the clan tag, right? Well, I was running a tank company one day, and I had come up against one of the subreddit clans, I guess, a few times, and we had beaten them. And the following day, I didn't know this at the time. It took me a few weeks before I got proper information, before somebody actually came forward to me. But, like, the following day, well, actually, as I had beaten them that day, they had my clan tag act. They went and reported my clan tag. Now, I didn't really see anything particularly wrong with the clan tag of Busty. Now, I could understand the icon picture I had during that time was like some woman in a bikini and squeezing her boobs together or some shit like that. It's just some dumb shit that you put up there when your frontal lobes haven't fully attached themselves to the rest of your brain. I could understand if that was axed from my clan. If Wargaming came to me and said, "Hey, you got to change this icon picture."
Right.
But they completely axed my clan tag, just deleted it. And I didn't know what was happening at the time. And I got in touch with support, and support was like, "Listen, we'll give you another clan tag. You're welcome to fill it in." And it went through like 2 more iterations. One was TITS1, which obviously sounds like it's spelled. And then finally it was like TITC1, which kind of still sounds the same, but it's not spelled the same. And that stayed that way for about a week or two. And during that time, finally somebody I was still running tank companies, finally somebody came to me and said, "Listen, I don't know if you know this or not, and I'm not here to throw names. I don't want to cause a problem. I'm just telling you how it is. And I have the chat logs, I have the tickets, I have screenshots and shit, or as much now that I was able to collect versus then." Somebody came to me and said, "Listen, I don't know if you know it or not, but you were beaten up on a subreddit clan." They actually, the way they phrased it was they went to Wargaming and they know Wargaming staff, they had your clan tag axed.
Yeah.
When I found out about that, I was like, what do you do? Like, who do you complain to at that point? What do you do? And the clan tag was just Busty. It was just BUSTY.
Yeah.
How does that violate any EULA? I don't know if it's even well, I guess it's a word, but how does that violate anything, right?
I mean, have you ever been on Reddit?
No, I'm not familiar with the Reddit forums at all. Didn't know anything of the clan.
Good. Don't go to Reddit.
No
not unless you like walking through 3 feet of dog crap.
I believe it. You've seen Beetlejuice, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you know that where they walk out the house door and there's that sandworm that comes in and tries to eat them or whatnot?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel when I move to any channel in Discord outside of the CC channel.
That's right.
So I'm sure it's the same way in Reddit.
Similar, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I started thinking about, well, I obviously I can't complain to Wargaming. They're not going to give me my stupid clan tag back. It was stupid anyway. I want to, in some ways, I was looking to be a little bit more professional. But at the same time, I wanted to find a way, like how can I get back at them without necessarily, going into an emotional spat, right? Going in there and complaining and bitching. So I started looking, and it dawned on me, well, how can I become a Reddit clan? If they can make a Reddit clan, so can I, right?
Okay.
So
right.
they had at this time they had Reddit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and they had the Reddit, so the RDDT, that was their main clan. And then they had Reddit X, which was supposed to be Reddit Extreme, which was Reddit 10. They had like NTL or something, or TLDR. So they had like 12 clans. But the one clan they didn't have was Reddit 0. So and here's where the weird shit comes in, I created Reddit 0, RDDT 0. I created that clan. And you want to talk about shaking a stick at a fucking hornet's nest. Oh my goodness, the hate messages I got. Who the fuck are you? Where did you get...
free trolls, Reddit.
Yeah. You know, where did you get, you know, so I got mocked. I was, you know, who gave you permission to use this clan tag? So you want to become a part of an affiliated Reddit clan? Shit like that. I was mocked. I was trash talked. There's still forums out there. And I probably didn't handle it as well as far as replying back to some of these messages. It kind of got a little offbeat and probably very immature at some point.
I'm sure it did.
But, and, you know, a lot of people might be able to poke holes in it and say that, you know, that wasn't how it went down, shit like that. But that's actually how it went down. And eventually I creating Reddit 0 was my way of telling them that, like, I know what you did, assholes. I know what you did. I get it. So I took their only clan tag that they didn't have, that wasn't under their leadership, and they were not happy about it. They were not happy about it at all.
Do you still have it?
No, I don't. We're gonna get to that.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna go through. I'm sorry, this is gonna be a hell of a fucking interview, sir. So, nonetheless, I didn't. You know, I wanted to get my clan back, and I wanted to be a little bit more serious. But I wanted Reddit to know that, you know, I know what you did, assholes. I get it. I know what you did. I'm going to continue to beat you in tank companies. So I did end up relinquishing the clan tag, and then after that, it just became for free, and has been that way ever since. But even after I did that, I still got harassment in the pubs. My clan was harassed. I got harassed from tank companies. There were still forums up about it, and I would send in tickets. Anytime I got a harassment or anything like that, or a message, I would send in a ticket. Now, this was before I really knew about OBS. I didn't really understand screenshots. I didn't know where they were saved. So my only recourse, I wasn't really software savvy back then as much as I am now. So, you just don't know. I just wanted to play tank companies and have fun. I wasn't looking for all this shit, right?
What were you doing, taking a picture of it with your phone?
Yeah, that's exactly what I ended up doing. I would end up taking video and a picture with my phone or whatever other camera device I had at the time. And here's the weird part. I actually sent in video evidence at one time, and I have the ticket on this. I have it screenshotted and saved. I actually sent in video evidence to Wargaming of them harassing me. They would even come into my tank company and start because back then it was in-game comms for tank companies. So if you were in battle, someone could come in and start just blowing up your shit where you couldn't get a call out.
I remember that. They'd play music or make a sound or or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually sent in video evidence of this shit going on. And the response, I shit you not, I got back from Wargaming was, we need a replay. Despite the fact, like, when True Voodoo just made his video evidence, they asked me for a fucking replay.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that I sent in a video from, even though it was on my phone or whatever device I was using, of them in pubs harassing me or something like that, they simply wrote back to me. They wouldn't use that as evidence. They wrote back to me, well, we need a replay. Back then I had a shitty computer. I didn't know where replays were saved. Like, I knew nothing about this game. All I knew is how to do tank companies and how to get my team to perform in tank companies relatively well, so we didn't shit on each other. I mean, tank companies used to be fun. There were times, and Muscles isn't lying, thousands of tank companies. There were times I'd start a tank company, within minutes I had a full team, and there were 25 fucking people waiting over in queue.
Yeah.
Within minutes.
I remember that.
It was insane. And for Wargaming to take the side of a clan, and Reddit was huge back then. They're still a capable clan. For them to really appear like they took the side of that clan really left me very suspicious of anything they did. And to this day, I'm very suspicious of anything they do. And you can call me a kook or a conspiracy theorist. I don't even know if I'm saying that word right. Or tinfoil hat time. and I have the tickets, I have the information, I have the screenshots saved, I even have the forum screenshots saved. Despite the fact that I actually created Reddit Zero, I took that clan tag from them before they could get to it. I created Reddit Zero. You will never find Reddit Zero attached to my name in any of the history of clans.
Wow.
Now who?
Yeah.
Now that's interesting. Despite the fact that I created that clan, you will never ever find it anywhere that I have looked, that I have been able to look on Google Forms and whatnot.
Yeah.
I have never been able to see it attached to my name anywhere. So, who would have the ability to do that?
Yeah, yeah. There's always a little bit of a brother-in-law act with some of that. You see it in politics too. On the one hand, it's not necessarily automatically a bad thing unless it gets abused, because usually it's the same people that are mover and shakers that are getting stuff done, and they get themselves and they create a.
It was a form of favoritism, and it was a form of people, somehow either a Reddit employee was part of the Reddit clan or a sub clan or some sort like that. It seemed like some strings were being pulled in their favor.
Yeah, it probably was. I mean, but they build relationships and they get other things done that are good. It's just it can really, if it gets used incorrectly, like you're talking about, then you can start abusing that kind of thing. But at the same time, people like the community league, you got a totally separate group. They're working closely with Wargaming. Wargaming's giving them prizing. So you might look at that and go, oh, they have they get special stuff. Well, yeah, they do, because they're kind of creating stuff. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's just, where is that boundary that separates you know?
Yeah.
And it's an open-ended EULA, so you can't ever really come after. You're gonna hire a $40,000 lawyer.
Yeah.
To over a fucking clan tag.
Well, hold on. According to the forums, there's all kinds of people that are going to sick their lawyers on Wargaming.
Yeah, we should band together and start a GoFundMe. Please fuck off.
Bugs attacking you right there. Right?
It's not likely to happen any more than me doing more than 2 days worth of streaming a week.
Yeah.
But that was really the worst experience, and it just seemed like you just had nobody at your side, and they were ripping me like left and right in the forums, in the pubs, I'd get it, and it really, at that point, I think I realized that I wasn't going to get ahead in this game. Like, I wasn't, the competitive level, the stupid cutthroat competition that so improves the community-based experience of this game, it's just something you're never going to fucking win at. And I think I gave up being truly competitive, especially when they took 10 companies away. I just kind of like I said, I'm stuck in playing this game in 2014.
Yeah.
And
I don't ever really understood why they took this 10 companies away.
I would love it. I would love it, man. You'd never see me raging in the pubs again.
I mean, I know they slowed down a bit, but they were still being filled.
Oh,
From what I could tell, people were still playing them.
Definitely.
That was weird.
Eventually, we did come to, and again, I wasn't really forced to take the Reddit clan tag, but I wanted them to know that I knew what they were doing. But we did actually face them. I did build up a clan. We would occasionally do clan wars, but it was not really super competitive. But we did actually come up against them in clan wars once. I think we were either defending or we were attacking their territory, and I don't know whether it was them, trying to find some sort of solidarity or, hey, the beef is buried kind of thing. But we had beat them twice, and they were like, good game, you guys did well, shit like that. I didn't respond, and I told all my clan mates not to say a fucking word, or I'll kick you out immediately. And we never responded, and that was pretty much, outside of maybe some forums, that was pretty much the last thing that ever really happened or occurred. That was the last instance of any type of contact.
Well, is Strongholds not basically the same thing, though? It's a very similar
not really,
format.
Because it's similar format, but it's 6 versus 6. The battles are super fast.
That's true.
There's almost no real strategy involved, outside of, it just becomes a game of HP and shit like that. But yeah, and that's the Reddit of old. Obviously, many of those fans have shut down. Just like if you darn a sock enough times, is it still the same sock? I'm sure many of those original players have moved on from Reddit. I'm sure it's not even under the same leadership anymore.
Yeah, it's unlikely to be all the same people. Sure.
Yeah, but I know they're still active and stuff. But that was my worst. That was my worst experience. So when people come to me and start with theories and things of that nature, I'm a bit sympathetic to them. I want to hear them out. I want to hear them, because you're talking to someone who's had, though I'll never be able to actually prove it, had a very shady experience
Yeah.
in the past.
Yeah.
And but we can move on to my best experience in playing World of Tanks.
Let's do that. Yeah, let's end on something great. What is your best
But
experience?
if you have any other questions you'd like to ask,
No, man. Let's
covered them all.
Yeah, we did talked about a lot of stuff, man. Very good. But
Yeah.
all right. So no kidding. Let's end on a high note right here.
This is the close your ears, kids, because this is not an interview meant for you. So I think it was just before they started closing tank companies down. By the way, I was really upset what they did to the 3601 because the 3601 was one of the best unknown tank company tanks there was. But they nerfed the engine. They gave it a top speed and they nerfed their engine.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
who got paid to make that?
It used to be one of my favorite tanks. I 3-marked that tank, man. I love that tank, but it's not so good now.
And anyway, a good note here. We were doing tank companies one day, and I guess I want to say it was sometime in 2014, but it was like just before they started they actually shut tank companies down. And we're in there one day, we're having a bunch of fun, we're beating teams. I'm sure we've even lost. I mean, I definitely remember a time I went on a 23-game loss, so I'm not a superior player. But we were a 23-game streak loss. And we were beating teams, and we were having fun. And suddenly, in TeamSpeak, I think by this time I had a TeamSpeak. One of my a woman player who was in there, she spoke up and she was like, "Fortrine, I'd like to send you something." And I'm like, "All right, well, we're running tank companies right now. So what do you need to tell me?" She's like, "Well, do you have an email I can talk to you personally on?" I was like, "Yeah, but I mean, you could just send me a message here. Like, we're in game, right?" And she was like, "Well, I really like an email. It's kind of a business thing. It's kind of a personal thing." I was like, "All right, whatever." So I gave her my email. I hit battle, go do another tank company, sent my team out, yada, yada, yada. We come back, and she goes, "Did you check your email yet?" I was like, "No, I haven't checked my email. Like, I'm busy doing shit, right? You know, I'm not thinking about this." So she's like, "You should really go check your email." And I was like, "All right, I'll go check my email."
I'm getting worried about this story. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. And I checked my email, and sure enough, man, there's an attachment attached to that email. And she sent me a pic. I shit you not. Middle of tank companies, completely unaware of what's going on. She and I'm just like, what? Like, that was the craziest, best moment. And I had to actually tell my tank company. Remember, I would run tank companies all day, and she sent me this, and all the guys in my tank company were like, "Did you look at her email?" Because they heard it too. They could hear the conversation.
Sure, yeah,
I was like, yeah, guys, I looked at it. I'm gonna have to go close down for now. And I did, man. I did. And children, close your eyes. But I closed down. That was the best experience. You might have to edit that out, but that was the best experience.
I may have to edit that out, yes.
That was the best experience playing World of Tanks. Was just one of those moments where you're just completely, and that was. I think I would have to say that was one of the best moments. I guess we can end on. So,
okay, that's.
And I hope I told that story well enough. And but it's a true story.
Yeah.
I don't know where the picture is. I don't even think I have I can log into that email anymore.
That's probably best.
Probably. But I think she was like my age or maybe even a little bit older. But yeah, that was just a crazy experience.
Yeah, it's weird out there, man. It's weird out there on the interwebs sometimes. Well, all right, man. Hey, I appreciate you coming by. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting interview. It's almost like 2 hours or something like that.
I think it is. I think it is. All right, I always offer this last thing for everyone interview. Give us your best piece of wisdom, man. Whether it's for tanks or life or whatever you want to hit.
I first learned this from George Carlin. I don't know who initially said it. I worship at the altar of Carlin, and that is, it's important in life if you don't give a shit. It can help you a lot. If you don't know what I mean by that, it's important in life to try, despite our best efforts, not to take shit so seriously.
Yeah.
I think that's what he meant by it. It's a game, just like the game of life. So My best words of wisdom are: it's important in life. If you don't give a shit, it can help you a lot.
Outstanding. Thanks for coming by, man. This is Guido signing off.
All right, sir. Have a good one.